Hello, and welcome to the Rough Edges podcast with Sarah I. Fox. In this podcast, I will guide you through my faith and mental health journey to dispel the stigma surrounding mental illness and to create an empowering resource for those who wish to discover more about these topics. I pray that this podcast will not only bless you, but that it will bring growth and healing to our communities. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Rough Edges. Today, I am super excited for my guest, Miss Lolita Guarin. Lolita Guarin is a stress management expert, speaker, and five-time best-selling author. She is the creator of the C.A.L.M process, a proven method to help people reduce stress, set healthy boundaries, and reclaim their energy without guilt. Through her coaching, books, and speaking engagements, Lolita empowers busy professionals to break free from burnout and create a healthier work-life balance. Welcome, Lolita.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting. It's a pleasure.
Yes, of course. And I'm so excited to get into all things stress management and to do our discussion. But before we start, I want to know, what are three things that you are most passionate about and why?
Well, of course, first of all, first thing is that I love helping people and talking about mental health and becoming true self and allowing yourself to be you and all of that. But if I'm talking about in general what I love, second thing I love is traveling because I think the more traveling we can do, the more people we can meet. And we all understand that, no matter where you live and who you are, at the end of the day, we all want to be happy, healthy, full stomach, and fall asleep by someone we love. So, I love that part. And the third, I love sleeping. I mean, what could be better than sleeping in in the morning?
Yeah, like honestly, I identify with all of those also. I'm not a morning person, I'm a night owl. So I just love sleeping in. And I also love what you said about traveling because, yes, I love traveling. So, on your travels, what is a country that you've been to where you're like, this was such a great experience for me?
I've been probably by now to 22 or 23 countries around the world. The last trip I went to Philippines, and the trip before then I went to South Africa and Zambia and Botswana. And of course, I'm from Europe. For those who are listening in and they're thinking, well, I can feel the accent, but I don't know where she's from. I'm originally from Lithuania, but now I live in Texas. And I've been to South America, Central America. But the one thing was very surprising to me is to see that no matter how harsh the environment is, no matter how much someone has food or clothing or what house they live in, it really matters. Are you happy? They say it doesn't matter where you live as long as you're happy, is because you always with yourself every day. And it's your quality of life depends. Are you doing what you're doing, and you have people around you that support you? Do you have someone that you love, or you love doing something? Do you allow yourself to be passionate? Any country that I went, there were plenty of very, very happy people. When somebody can say, oh, they live in lack, so why are they so happy around? Why? When you look on the street, kids always going to be kids, and they're still going to be playing around. Even if they have nothing, they still be creative. So the bottom line is, through all the traveling I've done, is at the end of the day, we all want the same thing, and it's really up to you to decide, will you be happy today or not.
Wow, that is such an incredible insight because it's very true. Like, people could have little to nothing, and if they are like peaceful within themselves, they have that happiness, they have that hope to keep on moving forward. Like, it doesn't matter if they're living in squalor, like, they could really elevate beyond that. And some people, they have a lot. Like, they're very affluent. They're like, they have everything at their fingertips, everything they could ever want. And unfortunately, a lot of people like that are sad or stressed or just like overwhelmed with life. So I'm glad that you pointed that out.
I think it matters because we want to be seen, and we want to be seen and appreciated, and That's why it's fun to live in a herd, right? We humans, we need the humans because it's fun to share. It's fun to try out different food or sit at the dinner with someone or go to movies with someone. And, I did traveling by myself once and it was boring because I wanted to like, hey, what do you think about this? I had like nobody to tell them to. And,
Right.
and I'm not necessarily talking about that you need to be coupled up and have your significant other, being romantically involved. Like, for example, I'm single now, but I am traveling with other people and I just go to the groups that traveling groups that the whole trip is already prepared. All I need to do is just show up and I meet amazing people that I can share my experience. But when you mentioned that there are some that have everything looks like, they're rich, they have those houses, they can go on vacations, anything, all they do, but they still not feeling loved and appreciated and seen. And that is obviously not somebody's going to be happy when they're in that situation. If we look at the stress management and why we are so stressed out, even if we have everything, because when I started this conversation, I said, you know, people can be living and having nothing and feeling happy, and then it all depends on your attitude. Somebody who's listening, they will think like, well, it's easy for you to say, I have kids to feed, I have bills to pay. How can I be happy? Just about the family, how I'm going to take care of my kids or my business or other people.
Right.
So in our society, there's so much of pressure to perform and to be useful. And when I started, if you like, I can share a little bit about my story, how I became stress management coach. So I came from Lithuania. I thought that I would love to find that money tree, what everybody talking about. There's a money tree, and you go and you pluck your dollars, and then you live happily ever after. Of course, I'm joking. I knew that was a land of possibilities. If you want to work hard, you can. That's why I came here and I was working. That's exactly what I was doing. I was working very hard. But what happened is that you cannot push all day long and for God knows how long. The body is going to get sick. It will be
Mhm.
like, okay, this is enough for me. The stress is such a thing that it's very useful, but sporadically and for a short time. And probably everyone heard already about this image of, oh, there is a gazelle just walking and eating, and there is a lion, and the lion shows up and gazelle run off, and then she's back to eating the grass, everybody's fine. And we humans cannot really do that if we continuously being attacked
Mhm.
and it looks like, well, nobody's attacking us. I mean, we're the humans, we're the ones who are attacking everyone around us, looks like. But what we constantly need to do is to perform, to pay those bills, to be responsible for those people. Like I mentioned, we belong to the group of people, we are a herd. And if we don't feel like someone's happy with us, if we don't contribute enough, we feel will be excluded from the group. So it triggers a huge fear of abandonment where you constantly trying to find validation and see the feedback. Are you performing enough? Are you loved enough? Are you seen enough? So that tension starts like from the moment when you wake up.
Mm.
And if you don't know where it's really coming from, if you don't know what to do with that, you'll end up like physically ill. And that's what happened to me. Stress made a huge impact to my hormones. And for ladies who are listening in, you don't want to deal with the hormones because if you mess that up, the whole system goes down.
Right.
And I end up to an emergency room and I realized that listen, this is got to stop. And the sad part is that a lot of the clients, I'm a stress management coach now, and I have a lot of clients come to me and they already have a doctor telling them like they sick, they need to really slow down, they need to start taking care of themselves. It is because we continuously believing that we need to perform and don't take care of ourselves. And then it's too late. It's like you're already being told, okay, well, you have another whatever months to live. And it's like, that's not the time for you to slow down. Obviously, you need to start taking care of yourself earlier. But what I've seen constantly with a lot of people is guilt and shame of taking care of yourself. I heard this first time when I start looking into why I got ill and what do I need to do. Somebody said to me, you just need to love yourself more. It's about self-love. I tell you, I almost punched it. Punched that person. Because I'm like, I wanted to show my worth. I wanted to show to myself and all around the people that I came into this country and I can make a living. I'm working very hard. And then somebody tells me I'm still not doing enough of something that I was never taught how to do. So that is one problem that we have in our society, that we're not being taught to really truly love ourselves. And when somebody says you need to love yourself, what the first thing comes to your mind? Oh, you're being selfish.
Yep. Yep.
And it's like, how dare you? How dare you to be selfish? Especially women in the society from generation to generation. It's like, if you want to belong to the group, you need to produce,
Yep.
and you have to produce all the time. This means you don't have time for yourself, and the more you give, it becomes the victimhood, the martyrdom of, you have to do this. And that goes from generation to generation. And the sad part is that we will not change that because we believe that it's working. When I go to speaking events or I go to networking somewhere and have people approach me and be like, oh my gosh, you're stress management coach. We need you so much. And then before we started this podcast, he told me the same thing, like, oh my gosh, we're living through stressful times. It's such a useful thing. But the moment when I tell someone, I say, okay, great, we can schedule a coaching session one-on-one. I'll be very happy to help you identify the patterns that don't work for you and we can change to something better. And because if you're continuously doing the same thing over and over, you cannot expect your life to change.
Right.
Right? It's called insanity.
Yes.
But what happens is there is immediate pullback, because right now I'm inviting everyone who's listening in, think how stressed they are in their lives. And now I will tell them, hey, I have this calm process that, by the way, I'll be introducing you a little bit later to this. I will say I have this calm process that maybe you can help you. Now, how many of you who's listening in say, you know what, I don't have time for this.
Right.
Yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah, I don't have time for this. I'm going to do it next week. I'm going to do it in a month. Yeah, the moment when it's too late, right? Remember?
Mm-hmm.
And I was, when I start asking myself, why did I end up where I end up? It has to do a lot with that generation to generation that basically telling us this is how we need to do, how we need
Mm-hmm.
to sacrifice and sacrifice and sacrifice, and how dare you to stop and breathe in. But I also realized another thing, that in our society, stress is worn as a badge of honor.
Yeah.
When you meet someone that you haven't seen for a few months or whatever, what happens? Usually there is a conversation where you all exchange what you've been doing, how busy you've been, how stressed that you are, how
Yep.
life is hard. This is really showing that, look at me, I'm needed. Don't discard me.
Mm.
That's why it's so hard for us as a society to really slow down and say, taking a breath is a good thing. Taking care of myself is a good thing. And I say, stress management doesn't have to be stressful. It
Right.
doesn't. Just doing a few things that can help you. But one of a great test and a great example and a great tip for those who are thinking, well, give me something that I can use, right? He goes, every hour or every 2 hours, I'll give you some choices. You can make that choice. Put an alarm on your phone. And then when it rings, you stop whatever you're doing. And I'm talking about, like, hopefully you're not driving and not the operating heavy, all of the disclaimer, don't kill yourself or somebody else, like, or like, let's say you just have a work day and it just looks like you come at 8 o'clock and you leave at 5 o'clock. It's like, I cannot believe it's already Friday and I haven't done anything. So you put an alarm, and when it rings, you do a complete opposite what you've been doing. So let's say let's say you have a job that you are standing on your feet. This is a time for you to sit down. If you're sitting on the computer and always, or like somewhere, like, like just have to talk with people, stand up, walk around, stretch, drink water, do a complete opposite from what you were doing
Mm.
for 1 minute.
What?
And you think like, what? That's all I need to do. But here's the key. I tell you, When I start my live events, like when I get in front of everyone and they say, "Oh, hello, my name is so and so," and they say, "Lift your hands who are feeling stressed." And they lift their hands and they say, "Now hold that hand until I tell you to put it down." They're like, "Yeah, okay." They collaborating with me. They're holding the hand. Okay, great. And then I keep on talking about myself, about my story, how I became stress management coach, what I told you. And, after a while, you can feel like people think you're like, wait, am I supposed to still hold that hand? Like, this is painful.
Yeah.
Well, and then I tell them, okay, now you can put it down. And that was stressful to your body, wasn't it? Because it was painful.
Wow.
So it's about not what you're doing, but for how long you're doing it. You probably heard there is it's called Pomodoro principle where you like work 45 minutes and 15 minutes you have off or you do something else. And you can do 50 minutes or whatever, or you can do an hour and something. So the key is you can do something and take breaks. And that itself will help you to relax because you're not just continuously doing. And if I'll raise my hand and then like after counting till 5, I'll put it down. And then I'll raise my hand again and again put it down. Can probably play with that hand all day long, right?
Yeah.
But if I hold it and hold it, that's going to be painful. That's exactly how it is with your mind and also with your body. So if somebody wants to just start small, they're like, I don't want to have, remember I said, stress management should not be stressful. So there is a client just came to my mind. I told her, and this is a second tip. After you start taking breaks during the day, it's very important for you to do something that you love every day, even for 5 minutes, okay? And here's the story. So I asked my client, is there something that she likes doing that will relax her? And then she was a lawyer, so she's like, I don't have time for this. And I said, okay, but you have to find something that you love doing, like something from your childhood that you can remember when adults didn't tell you what you should do by that time. And she said, you know what? I always like drawing. So I'm like, okay. We came up with the idea that she can just color. There are plenty of those coloring books that are.
Hmm. Yeah.
So she said, okay. She's like, okay, I'll, every day I will color some, just something. And then after like a week or two, I started asking him like, okay, so how is that coloring going? Are you enjoying it? How is it working out for you? And then she said, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I really try squeezing that in my day. And it's really stressing me out because now I have to
Oh
color
no.
before I go to bed at like in the 2 o'clock in the morning.
Uh-huh.
And bless her heart, she was like the one who like, high achiever, like I'm gonna follow my rules and I fucking
Yeah.
promise I'm gonna color. And that's what happened.
Right, right.
Even deciding that you don't have time today or energy or wish or desire for anything to do more than you already done, good. Give yourself a slack and say, you know what, I already did enough. So my stress management technique for today before I go to sleep is not do more.
Right, right, right. Yeah. That's awesome. Like you gave so many great tips. But what I love the most about what you said is recognizing when you need to take a break. Because we have a habit of going till we can't go anymore. That we reach the brink of burnout or we're already in the middle of burnout. And then we're like, oh, great, I need to use my stress management tips. But really, you have to use it while you're feeling that. So I want to ask, you mentioned the calm process, right? How does that process work? Like what is it all about? And when should we use a process like that?
One is that you have to do it like as a maintenance, what I just talked about. Start doing implementing things during your day so you do not end up stressed out and burn out constantly. But also a lot of stress that happens looks like outside of us. For example, you're driving to work and there was an accident on the road and now it's traffic, you're sitting in traffic. It's like, okay, well, great. So this is how I invented the calm process. There were already some good tips and the kind of system that I was working and I was teaching everyone that could listen how to manage stress in specifically that moment when something happens. I realized that it can become a very good process that will be very easy to remember. And that's how the calm came. Every letter means something, where I'm about to explain this. But I also, it was funny how I came up with the calm process. And then later I saw there was the sign that's like everywhere, forever.
Hello again. Before you dive into the rest of today's episode, I just wanted to say thank you so much for your support and for hitting that play button. If you want to expand on that support, here are 3 ways that you can do so. 1. Leave a review. If anything in today's episode resonated with you, or you would want to share about how the podcast changed your life, you can do so by leaving a review on Apple Podcast or Podchaser. 2. Check out our shop. The Rough Edges shop is a faith-based, women of color owned online shop where you can get a variety of products from tote bags, journals, t-shirts, and more. 20% of the proceeds go to a mental health organization. So check it out at roughedgespodcast.com/shop. 3. Connect on social media. Rough Edges is on a wide variety of social media platforms, including Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and more. If you want to connect outside of listening to the podcast episodes, you can do so on these platforms. If you have any questions, you can check out the episode description or stay to the end for more information. Now, enjoy your episode. Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute, that calm was right in front of me. And then, anyway, divine timing. So now I'm inviting anyone who has some stressful situation. And it could be something like you are sitting in traffic and, is happening to you right now. Or maybe you have a financial stress, or you have emotional stress, a relationship, anything that is ongoing. But basically, you just take any stressful situation and you start with the letter C. And that stands for control. And you need to ask yourself, can I control this situation or I cannot? For example, if you're unemployed, can you control the situation? Yes, you can go look for a job. But if you're sitting in traffic, there's not much you can do. The important key is here to realize that the only person that you can control is you.
Right.
We cannot control other people. We cannot control the emotions, the actions, and even if there's something that for example, maybe you have someone in your family that is sick, you cannot control them into taking more pills or getting better lifestyle or start eating healthy or start going for a run. You can't.
Right.
And we cannot be healthy or happy for other people. We cannot make them into that. The only thing we can do is honor their choice. So when you ask yourself, okay, see, now you identify, can you control it or you cannot control it? The letter A stands for acceptance or appreciation. And I can talk about that for hours. The A is when you realize that you can control only yourself, you need to also accept the situation and say, okay, this is where I'm at. Because when you don't even know where are you, it's very difficult to change anything.
Right.
And there's so many times that, we in some stressful situation that later on turn out to be a blessing. There is, divine timing. There's everything happening for a reason, and I have faith that, there's some things. Of course, if you're just sitting on the sofa and you are unemployed and crying rivers that is not happening for you, you still need to kind of get up that couch and try finding a job. I'm talking about those situations where you identify that you cannot control it. Maybe it's just not the right timing, and you just try to see a silver lining in that.
Right.
And after that, we just go to the letter L and L and M as the complete opposites of each other. But before you go into that step, I always invite writing it down, or if you don't want to write, that's okay, but just kind of ponder upon what action step that you're already taking it to solve the situation. What's happening in front of you, what is it you're doing, what emotions do you have, what action steps that you're already taking physically, are you asking for help, like what is that you actually are doing to solve that situation. And then you identify, you take it one by one and you ask yourself, is this helping me, is it hurting me?
Right.
And here's the trick is that a lot of times that we do, that doesn't really help us. We believe it helps us because other people told us to help us, or other people doing it and it working for them. So it
Mhm.
must be happening for me too. But no, we all different. Different things work for different things.
Yeah.
Also, it's very, very important to identify our loyalties.
Mm,
There's a lot of, when I mentioned about that stress management goes from generation to generation,
right.
is that we blindly do something out of loyalty to those patterns that we learn in our childhood, to the standards and rules and regulations that our society expects of us. And especially those who are thinking, they take classes and there is some guru said, well, you need to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and then plunge yourself in ice water. There are plenty of people who are following those things and they all stressed out and it's not working for them. It's like fish climbing a tree. No matter how hard you're going to try, it's not going to work for you. So it's important to realize what is really working and what is really not working. Why am I doing this? And for how long?
Hmm.
And then you stop doing what doesn't work. Limit. L stands for limiting. You're limiting actions that don't work.
Mm,
And M is for multiplying. You start multiplying what works. Because we always can find something that works. For example, even not doing nothing, it's also working because
right.
you're opening up yourself for opportunities also for just relaxing. And the whole process works when you go through those steps. And of course, I'm inviting you to go to my website, Be Amazing You, and book a session with me where we can go step by step in detail, and also get my book. I go into detail with examples there as well, how you can do it yourself if you want to. But if you will do this process, you will feel better, because many times we're stressing out about things that will happen in the future that it feels like will threaten us
Mhm.
and will be harmed, and we're afraid of that. But when you go through the process and you really identify where you are, what you're doing that doesn't work, and then you ask for help, then
Mhm.
you give yourself the opportunity that everything can change. And that itself, I think, gives a good hope, and you get a grip of the things that can move you forward from now on, so you become unstuck.
Yes, wow. That is such an awesome process. Because a lot of the times we think like, oh man, I have to have everything, like the world is on my shoulders and everything has to be put together. But there are really things that are outside of our control that if we release our need for controlling that, then we would be less stressed. And I also love what you talked about acceptance, because a lot of the times we don't want to accept what's going on around us. Like some of the times it's like, oh no, I can make it fit. Like we're putting a round peg in a square hole. And it's like, it's not going to work. Why don't you just put it down and reassess and reroute? And I think it is so important to like identify what it is that we are trying to control, that we need to stop trying to control. And I love the example that you gave about like unemployment and everything, right? Like, if you are actively doing nothing, like you're just sitting there, like, oh, I have so many issues, that's a different situation. But when life throws so much stuff at you, and you're just like, oh man, I lost my job, there was a death in the family, like, there's so many factors happening, and you just don't know what to do. Sometimes it is okay to take a step back and be like, you know what? This situation happened to me, and I don't need to be in control right now. Like, it's okay if I'm not holding the world in my hands. It's okay if I don't have an action plan right away. It's okay if life is a mess. Let me see what I can control. And like you said, multiply what does work. Like, okay, I can control this. Let me see if I keep doing stuff that works for me and just keep doing that. A lot of the times we look at other people, and I'm guilty of this too. We look at other people and like, wow, she did 10 steps to wellness. Let me try 10 steps to wellness. And it's like half the things that they're doing, I'm like, I would not be able to do. Like the waking up at 4 a.m., putting your face in a ice bowl. First of all, I don't wake up at 4 a.m. Second of all, I'm not plunging my face in ice. So it's like, it may work for some people, but I need to know what works for me.
For those who are feeling ashamed or guilty about taking care of themselves because they like, oh, I don't have time for this, I have to take care of everybody else, you cannot pour out of empty pitch.
Yes.
We keep on hearing this, but it's time for us to really identify that and start doing that, because you can help others by helping yourself. When you feel yourself, when you're healthy mentally and physically, then you definitely can show up with full of energy for your kids, for your family, for your community, for your business, for whoever you want to, and inspire others to contribute yourself so you can contribute for those around it. So we should not be feeling ashamed, and it's about time for us to reverse that.
Yes, absolutely. And I know you touched on your work in terms of like writing your books and everything. And I just want to highlight like what are some of like the most challenging and the most rewarding aspects of writing a book, publishing a book, and were there any moments in the process? Because you know, writing is a stressful process. It can be. And so, were there any moments in your writing process where you did use like your tools, the calm process? Like, how did that work for you?
Yeah, in July, that was like 2 months ago, I was a speaker at this event, and I wanted to prepare my book and be published by the time I speak. Naturally, that's like with marketing. The whole calm process, and already, I've been writing for a very long time and I have quite a few books by now. It is creative process that I can start a book and then I have this, oh my gosh, I'm going to write every day and I'm full of energy and I'm writing, and then it just kind of stops. And I know this is the time for just percolating, and because I think everything is divine timing, and it's like, okay, I have to sit on that and then I feel inspired and then I write more. But what happened for that event? Well, I realized a month before that that book it will not be coming out, and I was like, oh no, I need to sit down and I need to push it. And of course, when you push something, you cannot push it. And then I
Mhm.
stopped myself. And that was like maybe like for a few hours, really, when I was trying to push myself. And I was like, wait a minute. Let me think about myself now. Let's stress manage myself here. And I was like, okay, I'm going to accept this, that this book is not going to come out for that event. And nobody was dying.
Uh-huh.
The world is not expecting this book to come up on that day. Nobody will be disappointed. The deadline was really my own inside me, that I'm the one who actually can change that. And I just let that go. And I said the book will come out when it's ready to come out. And it came out last week. And I realized that there was a silver lining in this, because I do a lot of research, and not just from my own experience, but I've been a coach for over 10 years now and very interested in different techniques of stress management and why we behave like that, why we think that way, and how we can change it. And I found that silver lining because a month ago, actually, I heard something else that I was like, oh my gosh, I need to include this in the book. And then I just finished the book and it's now published. And now I can say completely like, yes, I'm happy with the book. It feels complete. And now I see that that one part that I was just waiting on was not divine timing for it to be released. When I didn't push that through myself, when I went through my calm process, I didn't stress about that much. That was like a one day decision where I just allow myself to go on as on my own pace. And that was the recent activity when I actually used my own calm process.
Oh, wow. That is awesome. And I just love that when you were describing how you accepted it and you're just like, you know what? You realize that, hey, this is in my control, the deadline. Like you mentioned, like, hey, I could release my book whenever. I set the deadline, I could change it. You know, that's something I could control. And then you accepted the fact that the book is going to come out later. I wanted it to come out now, but it's just going to come out later. That's the acceptance part. And then you started going through what was working for you and you actually utilized the information that you found out later to complete the book. And now it's even better than it was. And I just love the freedom that comes with knowing, hey, I can't control this. Let me accept that I can't control it. And let me just figure out what works for me in this moment and just watch everything play out. Even though it's out of my control, I can still have some type of good come out of this through what I can control. And just hearing that story is just like a testament to how much we can actually maximize what works for us So that way we don't get so stressed out about things that we can't even control in the first place.
There were so many times, just think about it, like the jobs that we didn't get, the boyfriends that we didn't marry. Later on, you find out the company went bankrupt and that boyfriend, it wouldn't be a good fit for you too anyway. So
Right.
there's always a reason behind something. But when you're in it, it looks very stressful and it's like you're out of control, but it's probably working out for the best.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also want to move into like professionals because I know you work with professionals and I know that you mentioned that you worked with an attorney and like these high achieving people. So, in terms of like with professionals and burnout, what would you say are like two valuable lessons that you've learned that you want to just share for the professionals who feel like they're on the brink of burnout and don't know what to do?
So, number one question that someone needs to ask themselves when they already identified that they already burn out, because the high achiever who's constantly pushing towards horizon will take stress as a default. Like, yeah, that's how I operate. That's totally me, but it's not. That is just hyper, and the body will tell you later that you need to slow down. But let's say someone who's identified they burn out, and someone can say, well, okay, well, I don't have enough energy, I don't sleep well. What are the signs that could be that you are stressed out? How do you behave with other people? How angry you get with yourself or with other people? How frustrated are you of things not happening? Are you annoyed? Are you just snap at yourself, snap at your kids, snap at your friends, and you're like, I don't know what's really happening with me? Or you feel like you're pushing a train. Yeah, that is stress and burnout. And so when someone identify that, I always ask them why you are doing this. But the true reason why, everybody says, yes, I want to have a better house, I want to take care of my kids, I want to pay the bills, but like, no, no, really, why?
Hmm.
Because you want to feel seen, you want to look as someone productive, because deep down there is somewhere a fear of abandonment that you are trying to run away from.
Hmm.
This means you need more validation. And that's the first question that somebody needs to ask. Why am I doing that? Running towards horizon, you will never reach it. This means you need to uh, tell yourself that at this point, I'm going to stop. At this point, I will appreciate myself. And I also give another advice, write it down, the whole list of things that you already accomplished in your life for those high achievers. For somebody who's listening in right now, they're like, well, shoot, I'm burned out, but I haven't achieved anything. No, that's not true. Do you have driver license? Can you read? Do you have anyone in your life who actually depends on you? That you are making a difference in the world. You have that achievement list. So you need to write it down. And why writing down? Because when you put it on a paper, then you really see that you do make a difference in the world. You do make difference for people that love you, that you are in their life. You need to remember this. You're always doing the best you can. I don't think there's one person that wakes up in the morning and they say, you know what? Looks like a good day to hurt myself and hurt those that I love.
Hmm. Hmm.
Nobody.
Yeah.
So you're always doing something, even if it's hurting yourself or others, believing that's actually beneficial to you, like it's
Hmm.
serving you. So that's the next thing you need to ask yourself, how is this really serving me? And then the crucial question is, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
Why is that? And then it can take a lot of courage to really look at that. We're really influenced by the patterns that we learn in our childhood, but then when you see that you're continuously doing the same patterns and that's not really serving you, then you can start changing and having enough courage to cut those ties to the loyalty to those patterns that you continuously being told to do because you believe they are serving you. But the moment when you prove to yourself that they're not serving you, you get that power of control that you can change now. And that's what the true stress management really starts.
Yes. Thank you so much, Lolita, for joining me today. So, what advice or words of encouragement do you have for someone who is struggling to manage their stress?
I would say you did nothing wrong. You're doing the best that you can, and don't feel ashamed taking care of yourself, because when you take care of yourself, you can take care of others.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Lolita, for joining me today. It was such an amazing discussion. For people who are listening, where could they find your book or your social media?
So my website is Be Amazing You, And the same name is the YouTube channel. And on Amazon, you just can type in my name, Lolita Guarin, and it's there. But of course, if you go to my website, all the links are there.
Thank you so much. And everyone, stay tuned for more empowering episodes on Rough Edges. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Rough Edges podcast with Sarah I. Fox. If you want more updates on the podcast, you can follow on Instagram at rough.edges.podcast, or you can visit the official podcast website at roughedgespodcast.com. Thanks again for listening and have a wonderful day.